So when graphed in the standard xy coordinate plane, we're told that two lines, here's one of them, x equals -1, and here's the other, y plus x equals 5. We're told these two lines intersect, and we're asked, where do they intersect? What is the point that they intersect at? And this is not actually a question you have to graph, even though it's talking about a graph. But let's go ahead and graph it. It might make the picture a little more clear. So let's say we have an xy coordinate plane like this. Okay, here's my x coordinate over there. And x equals -1 is going to be this line right here. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to draw this in a different color so we don't get confused about what's an axis and what's a line. There's my first line, x equals -1. And the second line, well, let's rewrite this equation. And I'm going to do that by bringing x to the right side. It's easier for me to think about equations in terms of a graph when I have y equals something. So -x plus 5, that tells me it has a y-intercept at 5. I'm going to say that's 5. And it has a negative slope. So it's going to look something like this. Okay, and I missed my y-intercept. That's fine. So here's my two lines. Here's your line y plus x equals 5. The other one's x equals -1. And you can see, yeah, they intersect right at this point over here. So how do we find that point? Well, here's why I say you don't actually need to draw the graph. If you're going to say they intersect at the same point, all you do is take one of these equations and put it inside the other one. So we set the equations equal to each other. And the way we do that is we take this first equation right here. See, it says x equals -1. Well, all we need to do is we need to evaluate the second equation at x equals -1. So if y equals -x plus 5, I'm going to put -1 into that. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm asking for the location in y of this dot right here. I'm saying what is the y value of that line? So it's going to be y of x equals -1 equals negative, here's where I put the -1, plus 5, which turns into +1 plus 5, which means the y value is 6. So now I look for the point that has a y value of 6 and an x value of -1. And that is -1, 6 right here. Now, that's the long way of how you do this one. The short way, let's pretend you were running out of time on this test. You had very little chance to make a decision here. And you're just looking at the problem kind of bare bones and you don't know quite where to start. Well, let me suggest this. Don't bother drawing a graph, right? That takes a little bit of time. Don't bother with any of this stuff. If you were just looking at this from the start, you might say, okay, all I know is I've got a line x equals -1 and another line y equals -x plus 5. And I want to know where they intersect. Well, they're going to intersect somewhere where x equals -1. It has to. Which means I've got two good guesses. These are two coordinate points with x equals -1. So you just make a guess. Okay, if you really have no time to do anything else than that, that's a great way to get yourself down to a 50-50 chance of selecting the correct one. And if you have a little bit more time, you can figure out that the true answer is where y equals 6.